Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Advanced Hungarian. We haven't had a session in years. Well, that's not really true, but it feels like years. And also, if you're binge watching the whole season, it doesn't matter, does it? Anyways, so let's get on with it. First of all, just a gentle reminder, you can find me on Facebook with the sentence of the day and everything, and you can ask questions. I always encourage everyone to ask questions because questions are fun, but also I can always say no because it's such a complex question, although that never really happens. So, well. Right, our sentence for today is this one. It's here in black and white, plain text. Kilenc óra óta itt mereztem a seggem. There's a little bit of curse in that. Oh, yes, indeed. So, let's get on with it. Now, imagine that you want to translate something into English and you can't, because I don't think that I've been waiting my ass off since 9 is a proper expression that would go perfectly well in an English culture. As English, I mean, whatever, American, Australian English thing. But then again, in a Hungarian sentence, there is ass. So what can I do? Obviously, different languages express things differently, and because of the two really different cultural backgrounds of English and Hungarian, well, that's the closest we can get. But then again, of course, if you really need to immerse yourself into Hungarian culture and the language, you must be aware of the culture, not just the language. Now, first things first, let's start at the end. I want to divert your attention to the exclamation mark. Hungarian uses the exclamation mark a lot more than English. It's there because it's in the grammar book. It's within the rules of Hungarian. There are certain sentences that we just simply have to use the the exclamation mark, and we don't actually mean it. Because if you scream at some other person, then yeah, of course you mean it. But if you wish for something, literally, I'm talking about wishful thinking, oh, I wish I had $1 million, you still need to use the exclamation mark without actually screaming. Well, that's Hungarian for you. Anyways, so as you can see, I try to color code everything and I let you work it out for yourself, and make sure you ask any questions you have in the comments section. But mainly the arrows, with the arrows I try to connect similar expressions, although as a disclaimer I have to remind you that these are not perfect translations to each other, well, except maybe like 9 and Kilenc óra, because that's quite obvious. But my point is that you have to expect that something, an expression, it's just there as the equivalent on the Hungarian side, and in English you just use different words. In case of mereztem, which we'll go into later, it's not the word for waiting. It's an entirely different verb. So, this is the sentence. Let's talk about the attachments. There aren't many. Well, there is only one on 2 verbs. One is on the verb and then the other is really similar. So my point is that it could confuse, well, me in this case. But no, not really, because one of them, if am is at the end of a verb, in case of the blue one, mereztem, then it is first person singular. If it's on the end of a noun, which is my ass in this case, so if it's on my ass, that just sounds ridiculous, it's something that is called a possessive. Attachments, well, that's the main one. first person, singular, and it's definite. And then the second one, it's something that we will probably talk about later, because it's quite, in itself, possessive is quite simple, but then again, you usually talk about, or I usually talk about possessive along with other kinds of pronouns. Words. So, yeah, well, that's a bit of a pickle, because Kilenc is 9. Sure. Óra, it's either clock, watch, or in this case, a clock. Óta is definitely since, although in Hungarian there is no present perfect, so there is no I have been waiting, it's just, a verb. And then it is here, easy. And let's jump to the end. Shag is, well, ass, so it's not buttocks or not something. It's literally the word for ass. And then merest. So how would you ever come up with something that means leave something probably hanging there to harden, food, for instance, or something that needs to get dry, so it would be hard. How would you take that and put it into a word? Well, I mean, if you have a certain amount of imagination, which I imagine you do, then my way of saying that I've been waiting here is literally trying to say that it's exactly like, having been put up somewhere and to dry or something. It makes perfect sense to me, and sometimes I have trouble explaining Hungarian expressions in English solely because it's such a long and convoluted story, and it makes so much sense to me that I just don't have the imagination to come up with a proper explanation. Obviously, I could talk about the history if I knew anything about it, but it wouldn't help because, well, you just have to be happy with my explanation. But if you have any questions in the comment section. Now, if we want to conjugate, which is again still confugate, but, well, whatever. That's a conjugating section now. If we want to do that, then let's go. Merestem, merested, meresti, merestjük, merestitek, merestik. Luckily for you, no mistakes in there, except the conjugating word. I'm not going to fix that now. This will go down in history as the conjugating section. So, first part of the sentence in plain text is since 9 o'clock, and then you can just alter the number and use it in the other sentence. So if you're the kind of person who prefer pieces, Lego pieces, then here is one. Már 9 óra óta. There you go, easy as pie. And then this one with the strange breaking thing that happened suddenly while, no, this is not how I intended it. But anyways, mereztem itt a seggem. That is probably something that you don't want to learn. I mean, I always discourage everybody to curse or just try to refrain from cursing because it's part of the culture, and if I curse in Hungarian, I pretty much know everything there is to cursing, so I have a bigger chance of not getting my ass kicked when I do some random cursing. So even though Hungarian is the kind of language that would actually encourage you to curse, and even a culture encourages you to use some curse words, no, let's just leave it that. And with that thought and disappointing presentation, well, broken presentation in that case, it's time to end. So remember to find me on Facebook and all that sort of thing. And thank you for watching. As always, more stuff is coming up in the upcoming years. That's a promise I can keep. Goodbye.